Hello, people of the internet. Welcome back to my movie corner, where if you're new here and you don't know what I'm doing, every week on a Monday, I'm going to be reviewing a brand new video or brand new movie, sort of, from my movie collection to see if it belongs on my top 10 favorite movies. Because I don't know what my top 10 favorite films are. I just don't. And that's why I'm doing this series as a way to kind of help me find that. I know it's kind of impossible to do because there's so many movies out there to find a definitive top 10 list for me. But I do, and I have been collecting a whole bunch of movies. Click the eye at somewhere up top to see my most recent DVD and Blu-ray pickup, which I posted on Friday, to see what I mean. I'll only really pick up movies that I like, and so that is what I've been doing the past couple of months. It has been a very cheap hobby, and it's also running out a lot of space to put things up. But anyway, this week is going to be another one of those movie reviews. Again, somewhere on the screen at some point this video will have a link to my previous movie review, which was of the Mrs. Brown's Boys, that movie. Uh, so do go check that out. And I promise that half of this review is not going to be of ramblings like it was last week. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm now going to pull up the spin wheel, which will be a separate clip for me, and we will go pick the movie. All right, so just like last time, somewhere on the screen there is going to be the spin wheel that will help pick the movie. And do want to make note of some slight adjustments. I did add two new movies to the list, being the 40-Year-Old Virgin, and it was something else. I completely forgot what I added. It was another movie that was in one of my most recent pickups, and I did take out two of the Yu-Gi-Oh movies, the second and the third one, because if I get the first one, there's no point in having that. So, without further ado, here is the spinning happening and the movie being picked. And yep, uh, this is the movie that we're going to be watching. I pre-record the spinning process, so I obviously know what is happening, but I like to do it as separate clips. So yeah, the movie that we are going to be reviewing for this week is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I have not seen this since I was a child. I don't have a lot of memories of this film, apart from the clips that I've seen over the years. I do remember seeing it at some point when I was very, very young, probably about 3 or 4, I think. But yeah, I haven't seen it since. So it's definitely one that I've been looking forward to seeing, to see if I still think it's a good movie. Because the difference between 4-year-old me and almost 24-year-old me is a huge difference. I get a lot of weight, essentially. So I just finished watching it, and I took a lot of breaks because I was putting up my Christmas tree. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about this movie anymore now, because after watching it, I just don't know. It's still a good movie, but do I like it? That's the other question, which I don't know yet. But it's time to get into the proper review, I guess. So, before this review actually starts, I just want to go over a few things. So, how the last movie review was formatted isn't going to be how this movie is going to be formatted. I will be going into more in depth with this review, but also trying to stay away from spoilers. The other thing, unlike the last movie review, this won't be scripted, half shot, and edited in the span of 24 hours. Because with that movie, I kind of half-assed it, as I didn't like the movie that I was reviewing, unlike this one. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the review.
So, the plot is a somewhat disgraced detective is hired to prove that Roger Rabbit's wife, Jessica, is cheating on him, which he does, and that leads to Roger being framed for murdering the person who owns half of Toontown. The owner of half of Toontown who was murdered had a will that states if he were to die, then the deed to Toon World would go to the Toons. The disgraced detective is then roped in to help prove that Roger isn't a murderer, and hijinks ensue with the Toons. The animation in Who Framed Roger Rabbit is outstanding for the time that it came out and still holds up to this day, 33 years later. And the blend into the real world is just nicely done. As well as it's great seeing how real people interact with the Toons. Almost makes you forget that they're drawn in. One place I think that the animation is a little off-putting is when Detective Eddie Valiant enters Toontown. You can easily tell that it's just him walking around a big green screen set. But here's a little fun fact. Since I'm not doing a basic background for the movie, the only reason Disney allowed Who Framed Roger Rabbit to use some of the Disney characters is if they would have the same amount of screen time as the Warner Brothers cartoon characters. The characters in this movie is vast, with both old and new as far as the 80s. And what is great about it is, to my knowledge, most of the Toons are voiced by the original voice actors. So let's talk about the main character of Eddie. So far in this script I've made reference to Eddie being a disgraced detective, but Eddie wasn't always like that. He used to be a happy-go-lucky and well-respected as a detective with his brother, but all that changed when Eddie's brother was killed by a Toon. Bob Hoskins really plays into the down-on-your-luck character of Eddie as a typical drunk who lost it all after a tragic backstory, and watching Eddie slowly come back to his old self is definitely a treat to see. The other main character is Roger Rabbit. Now, as a kid, I found Roger to be very funny and likable with his witty humor. But as I watched it again for the first time in years, I felt his character to be stale, with no real character development other than helping Eddie with his. The main villain is yet another great performance from Christopher Lloyd. So good, in fact, that I couldn't believe it was him until I looked up the cast for the movie and saw his name. It's definitely a performance I'm not used to. He plays the character of Judge Doom, sort of like the Klingon he played in Star Trek 3, whereas again, I didn't recognize that it was Lloyd.
So, what are my overall thoughts of this movie? Well, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. As on one hand, the movie still kind of holds up. Yes, it is more directed towards kids, so it'd be perfect to show them. But also, on the other hand, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I thought, like in the past, when I've sat down to watch some other movies from my childhood, that I would still come away enjoying it. Unfortunately, I didn't feel that for this movie. Maybe if I decide to watch it again in a few years' time, I may come out with a different opinion, but the opinion still stands that I kind of didn't enjoy it as I thought I would have. So, for that reason, I give Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a 6 out of 10. So, I know I would have another section for this video saying, where this movie would rank on my top 10 list, but as I was scripting this video, I kind of had an idea. And that idea is, instead of, at the end of every movie review saying, where this ranks in my top 10 list, I'm actually going to save that for whenever I review every 10 videos. So after 10 movie reviews, I will look back at the previous 10 films that I just reviewed and I'll put them into like a sort of top 10. And so as we, progress to 20, 30, 50, even 100 reviews, the top 10 list will, of course, change depending on what movie that I get on the spin wheel. So that is actually now going to be the end of the video. So thank you all for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my review on Roger Rabbit. It was definitely a more challenging review to try and do because I liked it as a kid. Going into it, I went in kind of with nostalgic goggles. they got ripped out straight away, and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. But do let me know what you thought about this video in the comment section below, and I will see you on next Monday for another random movie review. So thank you all for watching once again, and I'll see you all next time.